So I just ran my first YouTube physical workshop for a government agency to use YouTube for their marketing agenda. And boy, I should have done it sooner. So if you're a coach or consultant, you're looking to get more clients online and you want to build your personal brand, you should run a physical workshop ASAP, because people will know who you are more. You're going to get amazing footage of you teaching in action in that workshop, which will look amazing for your website and also your social media, which will lead to typically more business opportunities for you. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all you need to know about running a physical workshop and the lessons that I learned at each stage. I'm going to cover stuff like how I got the gig in the first place, how I negotiated the payment, the logistics of running a workshop, the prep I had to do before the event, how to give the best experience to the workshop attendees, and what to do after the workshop. So let's dive in. Okay, so how do I get the gig in the first place? My main business model is not running a workshop, but there are speakers out there who their business model is to run physical workshops. So there's this one local guy here in Malaysia. He has a big following on TikTok and he teaches a lot of businesses and government agencies how to use TikTok for their marketing agenda. So they want to use the relevant platform that they have right now, which is TikTok, YouTube, whatever. The guy got the tenures because he has been actively posting on how to grow on TikTok for years. He built a personal brand for himself around TikTok. When these government agencies wanted to learn this, they said, hey, we need to run a workshop for our team. They internally would say, hey, I've seen this guy around, let's call him to give the workshop. So that's how he got the tender. When they were ironing out the itinerary, the government agency wanted 2-day workshop where they all go to a nice hotel and then they learn all this stuff. So they say day 1, they want to learn TikTok, that's from the main guy. And day 2, they wanted to learn YouTube as well. So they ask around, like, who knows YouTube? Somehow one of those guys said my name because they've been watching me posting content for years about growing on YouTube and just digital marketing in general. The main speaker contacted me. I'm like, hey, I'm running this workshop. Would you want to attend for day 2? And this is going to be a paid gig. Now, a little backstory, how did the main speaker knew me and have my contact info is because 3 years ago, while he was building his TikTok growth business, I was actively posting on social media about digital marketing, how to grow online, and I was selling this online course about personal branding. It was $100. He bought it 3 years ago. And from there, he realized, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about from the material inside the course, which led to the opportunity yesterday, 3 years later. It's crazy, right? So the lesson here is that business opportunities will often come from warm networks first. When a business wants something, they would always ask, who do we know? Rather than let's open up an application form for outsiders to come in. So in order for you to get that, you need to post a lot of content. And one of the best platforms to post content is, in my opinion, YouTube. Number 2, how I negotiated payment with the main guy. The government agency and the main guy already had a contract together, so I'm not negotiating with the government, I'm negotiating with the speaker, the guy who holds the contract. The payment was okay, wasn't a lot of money, but it was okay. I didn't want to negotiate too much because this is my first workshop and I wanted to dip my toes in the pool of workshops and events. If I didn't charge too high, they would probably want to call me again, or their friends would call me. If it was a private event, I would probably charge them more. It's my first one. I don't want to be too greedy, so I just not negotiate too much. And all right, let's do this. Point number 3, the logistics. When corporate clients run some sort of workshop or training, there's usually 2 paths for this to happen. In Malaysia, there's this fund called HRD fund. Basically, every employer will contribute to this fund every month, and this fund is for training purposes only. At the end of the year, they can request to the government to access this fund to train their employees. And they can only get training from training providers who have been certified by HRD. So if you're operating in Malaysia or in the US, you will have an equivalent of this thing. So you can register your company to have that qualification so you can run tenders to get that workshop. But I find this a little bit hard because if they want to access that fund, they need to do a lot of paperwork with the HRD government side to prove that they want you. So they need proof that the company asked a total of 3 service providers, and then they need to prove why did they pick you. So it's quite a lot of paperwork and the process takes a long time. Now, if you've been posting content just like how the main speaker has, he's pretty famous here in Malaysia. A lot of companies don't even want to access their fund. They can use that for other stuff. But for this, they have another fund for training. And then they said, hey, we want you specifically. We just want you to run this workshop. Here's our budget. Here's what we want to learn. We want to learn TikTok and YouTube. Can you handle this for us? So the guy takes the contract and he will sort out all the logistics on behalf of the government agency. That means the main speaker and his wife had to find the hotel, negotiate the price, and book the hotel room for the workshop attendees, sort out dinner, lunch, and stuff like that from the hotel itself. So it's quite a bit of a logistic work. Path number 2 seems a lot easier because they like the guy, like the government agency that wants the training, like the TikTok guy, because he's been posting a lot of helpful content throughout the years. So that's proof that you need to start posting content. For me, my platform of choice is YouTube. It's just the best. For him, it was TikTok. So you choose which one you vibe with. So here's another lesson. At the time, the hotel wasn't too far from my home. So I thought I'll just commute there. But I forgot that I ran this business in my house and I don't really commute. And I forgot how bad commuting is. And then last minute, I'm like, oh man, I needed a hotel so I can just sleep there the night before. In the morning, I'm not going to be anxious about traffic. I contacted him last minute. Hey, do you still have a room? I'm like, oh, we already booked everything. I had to pay out of my own pocket. So a little tip to you, when you're negotiating the price for your speaking gig, always include a hotel room for yourself. Even if you think you don't need it, just ask for one for free. They usually have some sort of allocation. I forgot to ask that in the first place, so we already agreed to everything, so we're not gonna. That was on me. The fourth thing is the prep I gotta do before the event. So there was actually a lot of work I gotta do. The first one is preparing a speaker profile of who you are as a speaker, your past experience, and They need that to show to their upper management to approve this thing because they're gonna pay for this event, right? Number 2, you need a workbook. A workbook is when they're at the seminar, they would have to write down stuff, jot down notes. So you need to prepare that, which is different than the slides. So the slides is what you're gonna be teaching, right? And then they would have a workbook. The workbook is like, okay, what do we learn here? And then just fill out the blanks. So it's 2 different things. So the lesson here is there's a lot of materials that's needed, but if you're an e-coach, you most likely will have all these lying around in your Google Drive or whiteboard somewhere, right? So all I did was compile the relevant one and just throw it into gamma.app, which is the software to make it look pretty. And I'm not even using the paid one, I'm using the free version. All right, tip number 5, how to give the workshop attendees the best experience. You always have to start with a little introduction about yourself and the story, how you get started, but keep it short and make it relevant to what they're gonna learn. You gotta make everybody feel inclusive. I always have eye contact with everybody, and sometimes when I see them start chatting or checking their phone, I just make them feel like, hey, we need to do this together. After lunch is usually when people start to doze off because that's the sleepy mode. At that time, I had a quite heavy module, which is how to script YouTube videos, which is kind of dry. So what I did was I teach the theory and then I ask each and every one of them to pick one video idea they have to script. I went to each of them and helped them one-to-one. Like, okay, we need to change this to that, this to this. So as you're doing that, the photographer will come in and take powerful photos of you because you're in action teaching all this stuff, which is good for your marketing material and your website. At the end of it, when I helped everybody there was 11 people. They all have 11 scripts. And then I said, hey, you guys all have 11 scripts ready to go. You're ready to film these 11 videos. So they came out of the workshop with something tangible. And lastly, the post-workshop. I made sure to always thank the main speaker because you need to build a relationship with him, because if he likes you, then chances that he will call you again is quite high. But if you piss him off, maybe he'll not gonna call you again, right? So always thank him, thank his wife. And the next thing is politely ask for the footage from that event so you can use it for your website and social media. All right, so there you go. That's what I learned. So now you know why and how you should run your physical workshop. But how do you get invited in the first place? One of the best ways to do that is start posting content on YouTube, because you will be seen as an authority. But I get it. Starting a YouTube channel is quite tough and a lot of people quit. So I made a video on how to survive YouTube as a small creator. Watch that video next.